But yeah, we do actually have some news. Just out of nowhere, DC dropped 11 titles. Now, there's not a lot of information to go with them, but I'm sure we'll speculate here in a second as to exactly what they are and the context of what some of them might be. But I'll read out what these 11 titles that are all debuting sometime, at least at the time of writing, in 2021. So, this was a presentation to comic book retailers at the annual Comics Pro event, and they announced 11 new titles. The first one is Deathstroke Inc. I'll read them all first, then we can go back and work through them and give thoughts. I'll list them off just now. So Deathstroke Inc., Harley Quinn animated series sequel. I assume that's a working title.
That's something I'm interested in.
Yeah, we'll get back to it.
Yeah, a Wonder Woman 80th anniversary title. So I assume that means a special. I would guess. Elseworld. Just that. We'll get to that. DC Vampires. Robin and Batman, Joker a Puzzle Box, The Legend of Batman, Crush and Lobo, Nubia and the Amazons, and DC Middle Ages. That's a wacky list of books. I mean, it's not like...
suspect some of them are digital first as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
Probably are. I think the one that sticks out to me the most there is DC Vampires, just because I not that I think Tom Taylor's going to write it, but it definitely feels like a spiritual kind of, we did the zombies one, so now we're going to do vampires.
Can't wait for DC werewolves.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be just like you say there, like deceased but vampires instead of zombies, or if it's going to be more along the lines of like traditional iVampire stuff and kind of going along from that.
Oh yeah, just random. Well, let's say random.
It's like also described as a working title.
The two or three vampire characters that exist in DC, and giving them a mini series or something. Yeah. That could be a thing. Robin and Batman. Do we have any thoughts on what that could be, and specifically putting it that way around?
It's not Damien. I would put money on that.
Okay.
I think it's one of those where they can tell any Robin, right? So being the fact that it's like there can be a Dick Grayson story, one issue, and then a Tim Drake.
You think this is one of those digital first ones, maybe? Yeah.
Yep. Because that makes sense. Because why else would put the emphasis on Robin over Batman? Mm-hmm. I mean, besides being me, like.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it's. I mean, just going with that swapping around Robins, it could be like that Future State Gotham book where it'll just be here's an arc with this Robin, here's an arc with that Robin. Yeah. I don't know though. The specificity of the title makes it feel like they're trying to make a statement about whoever the Robin is. So I'm going to guess it's not an anthology, and it's like try to set up either a new Robin or really do a spotlight on one of the particular Robins.
It could be a case of who's, how we had like Battle for the Cowl, whatever it was called at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that, but for Robin, as to who's going to be the next Robin, because there's let's be honest, there's a handful of contenders that we could throw out as they could probably be Robin, right now. And with Damien seemingly turning their back on it.
Yeah, who do you have? You got Duke, you got Harper, you got I mean hell, even Clownheart could somehow flip into a Robin if they really wanted to.
Yeah, but they all have their own unique things already. It kind of would hurt them to make them a Robin. Like I know Duke had We Are Robin, which was
right. You say that, but is it so different from Stephanie Brown going from spoiler to Robin?
Right, and then she died, and that was the most, defining thing about her until she became Batgirl.
Yeah, but likewise, Batgirl was also her taking a mantle that was pre-established that wasn't spoiler.
Right, but there wasn't already, there was two. It's not the same, like.
And there's like 5 Robins.
Yeah.
It's a mantle that's passed on.
I don't know.
I mean, I could be completely
like they've
wrong.
but I feel like they've done too much work with like Duke as the signal. I mean, maybe Harper, but
that's fair.
Already.
I mean, Harper.
There's already Bluebird. That's a waste.
Harper, I see more than Duke, just because Harper, I feel like, she's getting a little bit of a spotlight because Tynion's put her in this Joker story.
Yeah.
She's otherwise been kind of absent for a while, so I could, if they try to like reestablish her, I suppose.
And given that Tynion is spearheading the Gotham line right now, maybe him including Harper in that book is just kind of right. Let's get her back in the world, ready for this stuff.
Yeah. Joker, a puzzle box. Sounds like a Black Label book to me.
Sounds like the follow-up for Lemire and Sorrentino.
I don't know if it's a follow-up to that, but it sounds like that type of book. It sounds like that type of...
Yeah, it definitely does, which is the only reason that I didn't immediately write it off.
Or it's a crossover with Hellraiser.
I'll buy the shit out of that.
Yeah, I bet you will.
There is a moment that, granted, I've never seen the Hellraiser movies because they've always just the images scared me as a kid. But there's an image in Batman Catwoman when we get there that was very Hellraiser this week. So
Pete disagrees, apparently.
well, he's seen them, so he would know better.
Yeah, I'll wait until he tells me what he thinks is Hellraiser-esque, and then I'll see if I agree. But nothing's springing to mind.
A vault.
There's no hooks or chains. No, I wouldn't say so.
No, but it's being stuffed inside a vault, all contorted. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Sounds more Saw than Hellraiser, just from the description there.
Yeah. So Joker Puzzle, I see sort of premium black label. But I mean, again, this could be a digital first for all we know. But at least we should mention this is a retailer event because I can already sense a comment saying, "Why are you suggesting Eddie's a digital first?" Because they reprint them all anyway, so it's still possible they're digital first.
Like we've just had last week a bunch announced.
Yes.
That they didn't announce until they were ready for solicits and the print solicits. And
that's
then
it.
It's like, okay, they're digital first.
That said, I do think there is some sort of logic though after those announcements to give the retailers at a retailer of a focused event a bunch of things that aren't digital first. I do get the logic of that too.
Yeah.
There is a reason to suggest that maybe none of these are digital first.
Maybe a handful are, but I think the majority are still probably standard print books.
Like Deathstroke Inc. definitely feels like something like that they would print before digital first. You know what I mean?
Deathstroke Inc. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Do you think that's going to be dealing with the entire family that was set up in the last Deathstroke book?
I think so. Or just whatever he's up to now. It's almost like, I almost think of like a franchising of Deathstroke when I hear Deathstroke Inc.
I would love it to literally be Deathstroke looking at Batman Inc. and going, I can do better than that.
Yeah.
And because that's kind of Slade in a nutshell.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I can see that. Legend of Batman. This could go either way because this sounds exactly like a digital first title-wise, but it also could easily just be anything.
I actually think it's not a digital first one for this because they just did. I think it was Legends of the Dark Knight is coming back as a digital, so I think they've already got in their weekly slate of digital books, one a day. They've already got their Batman one. That I don't think they need this.
Blue Sky. I would like this to be like not necessarily black and white, but different creators coming on and telling a story from the point of view of someone that's not in the Bat family.
Do you mean Pie in the Sky, Matt?
No, Blue Sky, meaning like open world, completely. You never heard that term, Blue Sky?
No.
It means like wide idea, like anything goes.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like point of view, kind of like the Marvels, where you're getting the average person's view of the Marvel heroes, but like average people in Gotham. Or
sure.
I would quite like it to be, what we've just been having in Superman, Worlds of War.
Yeah.
Kind of like, with that, them telling the stories of Superman.
Yeah, a mini about human characters in Gotham. Well, I say human, but regular average people in Gotham telling stories about Batman.
Not within the Bat family, but like, the guy that owns the donut shop that the cops stop. Like.
Yeah, no, that gives you a lot of free reign to go really over the top with what you're doing as Batman, because it's like, well, this is someone's interpretation. It's the legend of Batman, rather than actually being a real story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Crush and Lobo, I suspect, is the one that all of us don't care about at the most. Like, that's at the bottom of this list.
Thompson book? Is that who was doing that Titans?
I mean, that makes it easy to ignore, because I think the worst case scenario is that this gets a team that we actually love, and it's like, oh, I guess we have to pay attention and care.
Yeah. Lobo has entered with Red Hood, I'm kind of beyond like it's Red Hood. I feel like Lobo has taken that spot for my energy, where I just like, especially after that metal tie-in, I hated that book.
That was probably the worst metal tie-in.
So,
but I don't have that strong feelings about Lobo either way. I'm just like, oh, I guess there's a Lobo thing. Whereas Crush, I've got like an extra bit of indifference of not caring, because Like I tried the one book where they were introduced and it was like terrible, and I'm like, okay, I don't want any more from this character now.
Aye.
True.
Sorry, I'm reading the translation. Someone posted a meme on the Discord and said it was about me, but it was in Spanish, and I'm like, translate it for me, please. I was trying to read the translation.
No, not Robbie Thompson. I don't want to slander somebody. Not that that's a slander. But
I mean, Robbie Thompson. Yeah, Robbie Thompson and Adam Glass are kind of the same to me in the sense that they're two names that I equally see and go, oh well. And it's not the same as like GRGR. It's not the same as like one of those names. It's just like a it just exists.
It's like a strong indifference rather than hatred.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, Crushing and Lobo. You got Nubia in the Amazons. I'm not surprised that Nubia is getting some more. I mean, obviously the graphic novel for kids or teens is coming out.
Yeah,
it's advertised in the books this week even. But it makes sense that they've set her up in these backups again, and they want this. So this makes sense. This will at least be a 6-issue mini, I think, if not more.
I'd have thought so. Yeah.
DC Middle Ages, that could be. I mean, if I say DC Vampires, it's just a book about some vampires rather than here's the DC version of a vampire apocalypse. DC Middle Ages might be more of an all-encompassing. Here's DC, but in the Middle Ages.
Yeah, I think the dream scenario for me and Matt here is this is a spiritual sequel to Demon Knights, which
I was saying even more recent, the Endless Winter team. You know.
No, that works too. Yeah.
You know, that type of thing, but you could do a Demon Knights vibe with that too. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Either way, I'm here for it. Like, you know, that's prime Viking times, the Middle Ages.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I could see potentially. I could see this being. I guess what my main jump to was like Marvel's. Was it 1602? Where it's like this is the Marvel universe reimagined in this time period. Was what my main jump to. But I mean,
that'd be cool too. Because what could you do with like Superman in that? Yeah.
Possible. I think it's less likely. I think it is more likely they'll just take, kind of what we're saying, just look at the current DC universe, but at that point in history.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with the Omniverse now being like a thing, like
I think the only thing
could literally be anything.
I think the reason why I thought of that is just the title they've given us is DC Middle Ages. That sounds more, I don't know, less. I look at the Middle Ages in the timeline and more. Middle Ages version.
Explicitly said that DC Vampires was described as a working title, but this has the same format where it was, that's DC Vampires. This is DC. Okay, Middle Ages.
No, I get that. I get that it's a working
the actual title either.
No, I get that it's probably a working title, but they're still. I mean, they specified DC Vampires as just a working title, right? They didn't specify it with this, even though it probably is still at least technically a working title. But they felt confident that this title is giving the information, it's giving the impression they want it to give.
I mean, at least enough to get interest. Because we're saying, it could be this or it could be that. But that's still, those things I'm probably interested in either.
Here's the thing, Connor, though.
Basically.
Do you want to read it just based off the title?
Yes.
Pete, do you want to read it based off the title?
Only if it's what I thought it was.
Thank you for that disappointing.
Well, no, it's not because I'm writing that says it's because I'm actively less interested in Demon Knights shit. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Patreoners, if you want to make Pete read something, Paul Cornell's Demon Knights is pretty good.
The term is patrons, man. Just for the
whatever. Patreoners sounds cool. I don't care.
For those Patreoners,
they know I love them all the same.
For those Patreoners who engage in patronicity, get patronizing. And
get patronizing, but in the good way, not the bad way.
Yes. Anyway,
there was a couple that you just skipped over for some reason in the list. Anyway,
I started the more interesting ones. There's a Wonder Woman 80th anniversary title, which sounds like it's. Well, we've already had it. No, we had 750. We didn't have an 80th anniversary celebration.
Maybe this is just one of those big one shots, but title versus issue makes it sound maybe it's like a mini or a
mini. That said, though, those 80-page one shots did sell a lot of physical copies because of all the variants. So this is for retailers, so it makes sense they would hype up said one shot.
Well, they ordered them, but did they sell them all? That's the question. So I know
I think the fact that they kept ordering them means they sold enough.
Maybe. I know my shop has a lot laying around.
Yeah,
okay, but what I mean by that is they bought enough to get the high-priced variants, and they sold those, so it was worth it.
Nah, maybe.
Yeah, so they've got a ton of regular versions sitting around, but they did sell the variant for a ridiculous amount.
Which makes sense. Makes sense.
Yes, and then Elseworld, what you notice here in the news article is one half of the center of the new DC Omniverse. I mean, thanks for that. I mean, I think we would have picked up on that. But
as set up by the end of Metal, of course.
Yes.
So we presume this is a book set on that Elseworld?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
If not set on, about the discovery of.
Oh, possibly. I could see that about our characters, like an event book, but like a miniseries about our characters finding this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to bet money, I would bet this is the Scott Snyder project. That maybe.
I don't think so, because I think he's actively stepping back from being that guy. I think Metal 2 was kind of his final say for now. From the big universe driving stuff, which is why it still makes sense that he would do a JSA book, especially if the JSA book's set in the 40s. It's like, hey, it's separate, it's on his own little corner. He can just mess with that. Noticeably absent from this list is a JSA book.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, and that's why I thought maybe that's what this.
To be fair, though, I think noticeably absent from this list is any title that's recognizable. They're all kind of like minis or offshoots, or
you think maybe they're saving the big stuff for actual announcements, and this is all the other stuff that we can get away with this.
Yeah, like if we're getting like a second Green Lantern book, for example, I can still see that happen. I can see us getting a GSA book. I can see us getting a number of like big titles, but this seems to be all the minis and the special things and the.
I'm potentially interested in, I mean, at least 7 or 8 of these, but just off the top of my head.
I mean, it's hard to say without actually having solicits for them yet. But
yeah, I mean, off like that's why I said potentially. Off just this, it's like, okay, I can see potential in some of these ideas based off of what we think they might be.
I mean, I can tell you right now, Harley Quinn animated series sequel and Crusher and Lobo are just dead on arrival for me. But
Harley Quinn animated, I am 100% sure is a digital first. It has to be, because just this week they announced the sequel series for the Batman 89 and Superman 70, whatever it is, 78. Yeah. And this is just it's another one of those that and they've had them in the past. Batman 6.
I suppose since you brought that up, we should mention that was news this week.
Yeah.
Was those digital first? They're doing a Batman 89 and a Superman 78 based on like continuing those movie versions of those characters. The Batman one in particular has an interesting creative team where I don't have it in front of me, but they like one of them actually did the art. I think is it Joe Crusaders who's done the art?
That's Joe Quinones.
Yeah. He actually did art for a pitch for a sequel comic that basically got canned back in the day, and now is getting to do the art on the actual sequel now.
Yeah, and I believe the writer did the script, or at least the outlines for the original movies.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And then Vendetti's doing the Superman 78 one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Do you know, it's funny because I'm not a big fan of those Tim Burton Batman movies, but I am oddly kind of intrigued.
Shocked.
But I'm oddly kind of intrigued of a comic book that follows on in that version of Gotham. Superman's a no-brainer though. Like Superman, obviously the movie is a big part of why I love DC. And Vendetti, I mean, I've not loved as much from him as you guys have, but he's still had a couple of things that have won me over. So
if you have time, Pete, go and check out his digital first Superman. If you want a vibe of his,
sure,
he has a real good handle. So, I saw his name attached to this, and I was like, sold. Like even before Superman 78.
Yeah,
Vendetta on Superman.
So those actually got proper announcements. So those actually have dates and things and all that. These 11 books are just a list of titles that are. So I'll just to reiterate what this list of titles is, because we've been kind of bouncing around them. So I'll just list them off one last time to wrap up. Deathstroke Inc., Harley Quinn animated series sequel, Wonder Woman 80th anniversary title, Elseworld, DC Vampires, Robin and Batman, Joker a Puzzle Box, The Legend of Batman, Crush and Lobo, Nubia and the Amazons, and DC Middle Ages. That's the 11 books that they have announced in this list. So we'll see how many of them actually happen this year, because some things might be planned tentatively and get pushed, but it's nice to see those a nice list of mix of things coming, even if some of the titles we'd hope to see coming aren't quite there yet. Hopefully.
Yeah, but I like these oddball kind of books. I miss the oddball. I mean, that's how I found Outsiders originally. You know,
I mean, one of the only good things I can say about the new 52 is at the start, their commitment to we have 52 books meant they had to fill the ranks with some weird shit. And some of it was quite good. Some of it was interesting. And, and it definitely had a real diversity in the line with a lot, you had the horror stuff, you had the Western stuff, the war stuff. Now, whether or not you cared for that is a different question. But, the diversity was quite a good thing, I would say.
Yeah. A lot of them didn't make it past one arc, but yeah, they were there.
Most of them made it 2 arcs, I think.
The war ones didn't make it very far. I remember them getting cancelled at around issue 8.
I mean, but the Wild West stuff with Jonah Hex went longer than anyone expected.
Oh, that was a little while.
A good bit. And obviously that was technically a straight continuation of All-Star Western that had been going right before, right?
Yeah.
It's the same team. So, yeah.
So, there you go. That is surprisingly meaty news for this week. I'm not used to news a week after Solicits being that interesting, but
yeah, I'm not used to them just dropping shit like this.
But there you go.
Surprise!
Oh, actually, I mean, one little tidbit to add on to the news here.
This better be bloody good.
I know Carl's excited to talk about it. The Snyder Cut got a trailer this week, a full trailer, for the 4-hour cut that's coming to HBO Max.
I'm gonna pour some whiskey if you're gonna do this.
I love that you told our mutual Twitter friend that it was 4 hours, and she pieced out.
She's like, "Oh, I'm curious enough to watch it. Wait, it's 4 hours? 4 hours?
But you said 4, right? Like after 3, yes. Before 5, 4.
It's not a typo. Not a typo.
I just have one thing. As I watched that trailer with my wife, she goes and looks. I thought we were done with this. Her words.
She probably just
said shirtless Cavill. She was like, oh, "Okay, wait, but he's hardly in the trailer." I said, "Exactly." Yeah.
I mean, the thing that's clear from this trailer is that we are living in a society. That's the thing we need to take away from this.
I can't believe that.
Joker looks so bad. I hate it so much.